Welcome, and thank you for purchasing this DVD on how to use a computer running Windows 10. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to use a computer in the most basic way. So if you are not familiar with the computer, or if you're new to the computer world, this DVD should help you understand how to use a computer and to get you more comfortable with how a computer operates. Now, please bear in mind, I am recording these videos live. I do not have a script. I'm just sharing the knowledge I have from my head over the years to you and trying to do it in the most basic way for you to understand. So please bear with me if I have anything that I say that I need to pause for a minute, or if I need to correct myself. But these videos should be of use to you if you are new to the computer world, or if you're just new to Windows 10. Now, something to understand about what you see on your screen now is this is a screenshot of my computer. Okay, this computer is a very clean, fresh install of Windows 10. So there's a very limited number of applications installed. Okay, just what comes with Windows 10. So you may have other icons on your computer, even if it's a brand new computer. You may see different icons here on the desktop. These here that I'm clicking on, these are icons, okay? This entire screen that we're looking at is called my desktop. Okay, so when you turn your computer on and you come up to your screen, this is known as the desktop. Now yours may look a little bit different. Everyone's going to have their own personalized desktop, and there's a lot you can do here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the desktop, how the desktop works, and the different things that we can see on our main screen here, known as the desktop. We talked about icons here. You can see I have Recycle Bin as an icon, Windows 10 Upgrade Assistant is an icon. You're going to have different icons. As you install programs, you will have other icons. But the idea is going to be the same. Now, down here on the bottom right, you can see that we have the time and date. Okay, it's kind of nice and handy. You can always see what time it is and what day it is whenever you're at a computer, if you're in an office or whatever. There's some other options down here in our startup items. We're not going to go over that much in this video, but just know that there's some icons down here as well, but we're not going to touch bases on these. But do know that you have a clock. Okay, we have other icons that are what they call pinned down here below. This whole bar down here where we see our clock and these icons down here, this search, this is called your taskbar. Okay, now your Windows taskbar has these different icons and functionalities on it, such as the search and your time. You also have what's called your start menu. Okay, on the bottom left, see that little button? It's a square. If I left click on this start menu, the start menu is really where the magic starts to happen. Okay, this is where you really start to use a computer. We have different icons inside of the start menu that help us navigate through the computer, how to view all the applications that we have installed in the computer. It's all listed here in the start menu. Okay, we're not going to go over all these in detail. I just want you to get an idea of what is here, so you can see the different programs installed, the different icons that we have pinned in the start menu. Okay, we'll go over pins, how to pin icons and remove pinned icons later, but just know that this here is where the magic happens. Okay, your start menu. So once again, we have our desktop. In the desktop, we have our clock, we have some icons down here, some other icons to programs for quick access. We can search the computer down here by simply clicking in here with the left click of the mouse and typing in whatever it is we are looking for. Okay, so just understand these concepts for now. So here's our desktop. We're going to talk a little bit more later on how to customize our desktop, even the picture in the background on the desktop. But for now, just know these concepts. We're also going to cover in this portion of the DVD how to know what hardware you have inside of your computer and how to view that from within the Windows 10 operating system. Okay, so some things to understand and know. You do have different hardware components in your computer that make up how your computer functions, how fast it functions, and efficiently. How much storage space you have inside of your computer for different pictures or documents and movies. And so let's take a look at how to view some of this information. Okay, if you come down to the Start menu and you left click, you're going to see your different icons. So go ahead and follow along, and you're going to see one here called File Explorer. Okay, I want you to go ahead and left click again on File Explorer. Okay, it's going to bring up a menu that looks just like this. On the left, you see that there are different icons that we can click on and select to help us navigate through this computer. We'll go over File Explorer in more detail later, but for now, I want you to just follow along with what I'm doing so we can see the different hardware components inside of this computer. So go ahead and come down to where it says This PC. You can see this little arrow there. You can click on it here and it will show you the different things inside this PC that we can navigate through, or you can click on the actual little picture here of a monitor or over this PC and it will change what you see over here on the right. Okay, on the right here we can see different folders and whatnot, but what we want to see is your local disk C. Okay, so let's understand what that is. The local disk C is your main internal hard drive in your computer. Now this can be configured differently, but know that in 99% of cases on a computer or scenarios, your C drive is going to be an entire hard drive. Sometimes people break up a hard drive into different volumes, but that's way out of the scope of this lesson and this DVD even. But understand that your C drive is your hard drive. Your hard drive is the storage of your computer. So how many pictures you can have on the hard drive, how many videos you can have in the hard drive, how many programs, okay? And every file and every program, every picture takes up its own amount of space. Okay, it's kind of like the filing cabinet in an office. It's where everything is stored in the office. Now we can see here on my computer, I have a 150 gigabyte hard drive. Okay, of 150 gigabytes, I only have 114 free. The blue represents how much space is being used up. The white or gray area is what is available. So as I add things to my hard drive, this is going to fill up. This fills up, like I mentioned before, from videos, pictures, music, things that you download off of the internet, documents that you may have. What you're storing in the computer is all stored right here in your hard drive. Okay, this is a small hard drive right now on my computer. This is 150 gigabytes. That is small. I created this computer just for these DVDs, and it doesn't matter that it's small. Most of the time on your computer you will see 500 gigabytes or 750 gigabytes or 1 terabyte. Okay, 1 terabyte means 1000 gigabytes. Okay, now there are even bigger hard drives. There's 2 terabyte, 3, 4 terabyte hard drives, and we're going to be seeing even bigger and bigger hard drives as time moves on. Now we can see the hard drive. You can see how big your hard drive is and how much space you have left. Bear that in mind. There are ways to upgrade and add storage to your computer, but we're not going to go over that. We're just going to get you to understand what you have in your computer now. Now, the other thing that you need to know about your computer, you could go ahead and click on that red X up in the top right. Okay, on the top right, when you hover over it, it turns red. Close that window down, and we're going to look at the processing power of your computer, what processor you have. So if you come down to the start menu, make sure you're back to your desktop after clicking that X so that window goes away. Come down to your start menu down here like we talked about before. Don't click on it yet, just hover over it. Okay, if you clicked on it, just left click anywhere out here in the open space, left click, and it will make that start menu go away. Okay, ignore this little pop-up that popped up. Now, in order to see what processor we have, instead of left clicking like this, okay, instead of left clicking on the mouse, we're going to use the right mouse button. Okay, so we're going to right click, and we can see some different options available now. Most of these you don't need to know about, okay, at least for now, not until you become more computer savvy and understand more of how Windows and how a computer works. But what I do want you to do is to go ahead and do that, as I had mentioned, right click so you can see this menu, and then now a left click with your mouse over System. This is near the top, the fourth one down. Left click on System. Okay, this tells us more about our computer. Now on this computer, we can see all this information. We can see our computer name. We can see what processor we have, how much RAM memory we have installed, which is something that's upgradable. We can see what version of Windows we're running. Okay, we can see this is Windows 10 Home. Really good, valuable information here. Now, the things that I want you to look at for now is what processor you have. Okay, I'm running an Intel Core i7-4790. You may be running an Intel Core i5, an Intel Core i3, an Intel Celeron, an Intel Pentium dual core. You might be running an AMD processor, an AMD dual core, an AMD quad core, an Athlon processor. There are a lot of different processors out there. Okay, now this just tells you about how fast your processor is and what it is. You can later we'll teach you how to do some things on the internet, how we can look at what it is. You don't see a lot of information on my processor here. We just know it's an Intel Core i7 3.6. Now I'm not going to go into all the details of all the different processors, but the faster this gigahertz, the higher this number is, the overall faster the processor is going to be. There are other things that factor in as well. You have cores on a processor, multiple cores. You have single core, dual core, quad cores, okay, quad core processor. And the way to think of that is your processor is like your secretary in an office, okay? So we talked about the hard drive. The hard drive is the filing cabinet, okay? It's where everything is stored in the office. And in your office, you also have a secretary who does all the work. Well, however good your secretary is how efficient and fast things are going to be done in your office, okay? So your processor is like that secretary. If you have a good, fast processor, it's going to be able to do things quickly, can take orders and enact upon those orders and get things done fast. Now, like I was saying before, you have multiple different types of processors, some with multiple cores, some with a single core. If you have a dual core processor, dual meaning two, then that means it's like having two secretaries in the office. So they can multitask, they can share the load of work that needs to be done and get things done even faster, okay? And now this multiplies as you have more cores or more secretaries. So if you have a quad core, meaning 4, you have 4 secretaries, okay? And now you also have 8 core processors that are available. So you can get a really nice fast processor that can really multitask and do a fantastic job on your computer. Now that's not always necessary, okay? Mine is actually a quad core processor. That doesn't show that here, but you can see that it is an i7 3.6 gigahertz, okay? If we want to see exactly how many cores our processor has, we can see that if we come over to where it says Device Manager on the left, follow along with me, left click with your mouse on Device Manager, okay? Now the Device Manager is not something you typically want to get into and mess with, but it does give you information of certain things on the computer, okay? So if you go ahead and left click on that Device Manager like I explained, it's going to bring up this new window. And in this window, we can see different hardware components. Now, there's little arrows to the left of each of these hardware components that can give us information about that hardware component. So go ahead and come down and find processors. Don't click on anything yet, but just see that you have processors. There's the little arrow to the left of processor, okay? Go ahead and left click again on that little arrow, okay? I am running an interesting computer that I have built, so it's only showing one core, okay? This is actually a quad core processor that actually, I won't get into detail, that shows up as an 8 core because of a technology called hyper-threading. So on my other computer, where it shows this appropriately and properly, this is going to show up 8 times. It's not just going to show it once, it's going to show up 8 times, okay? And with that showing up 8 times, we know, oh, that's an 8-core processor. So this is one way to check and see how many cores are on the processor. Okay, another way to do that, if you just follow along with me step by step, okay, is to come down. Remember we talked about this start, or this taskbar down here on the very bottom with all these icons, the clock and the start menu, where it's blank. See how there's nothing here in this black area? Find a blank area like this. Generally it's in the same area for you on your computer. And instead of using the left click mouse button, use the right click mouse button, okay? So click with your right mouse button and it's gonna bring up another menu, okay? And come up to where it says Task Manager, and listen carefully, you want to left click on Task Manager, okay? So follow along. If you need to, you can back up on the DVD and come back. Now on Task Manager, we can see now it's not really showing us anything. I don't have any applications running. It says blank. Well, I can see down here on the bottom left it says more details and an arrow. Go ahead and click on more details. Okay, so this shows us different apps that are actually running and background processes. Don't worry about all this information. For right now, we're just going to look at the cores of a processor. We're going to go ahead and see these tabs along the top. We want to left click on the Performance tab. Okay, that brings this up. Now, like I said, mine's only showing up as a single core because of the way I've built this computer, but this will also show you all the different cores. If you have a 6-core or an 8-core or a quad core, it will show 4 little boxes here. And that's another indicator of how many cores that your processor has. Okay, so just good information about your processor. You can also see that it the load that the processor has on it, so how much work it's doing. Okay, utilization 8%, 7%, 3%. I'm not doing much here. I've only got a couple of windows open and they don't take a lot of processing power to use these windows. As you load programs and are running the Internet Explorer browser or the Edge browser or games or whatever it is that you may have up and running, this is going to spike and it's going to go up. Okay, so just know that information. Once we're done looking at this, you can come to the X up here, highlight it red, left click to close it out. Go ahead and ignore this pop-up I had here. And so that's some information on our processor, okay? Now we can look at our RAM, okay? Our RAM memory. So the hard drive has memory as well, as we talked about before. And mine is a 150 gig hard drive. You may have bigger. Now, the RAM is like the desk space in your office, okay? The more RAM you have, the more desk space in your office. That's important because you have your processors or also your secretaries who are needing to do their job. As your processor is needing to do its job, it needs desk space to do its job. So if you're in an office and you only have one desk and you've got a quad core processor per se or 4 secretaries and you're giving them a lot to do, things are going to get cluttered, and that secretary is not going to be able to function very well. So the more RAM, the more disk space, the better. 4 gigs is a good average. That's going up to 8 gigs, 6 gigs. But here you can see how much RAM you have. So that's a quick rundown on what your computer has inside of it and how it operates. I hope that this was helpful for you. So just remember, let's review. We have our desktop, which is our main screen here on our main menu. When you first turn the computer on, we have our clock. We have our start menu right here that we'll go over more in detail later in another section of this DVD. We talked about how to view information in our computer. We talked about how to see the size of our hard drive. We talked about how to right click here on the start menu instead of left clicking on system to see our processor and RAM. These are some important things to know and understand about your computer. We'll go over some more of this in detail later, and we'll just move on to the next chapter. Okay, in this section, we're going to talk a little more in depth on how to use your Windows 10 operating system or Windows 10 program that you have on your computer. Okay, the first thing that we're going to go over is the start menu that we talked about in the previous section. Okay, and before we talked about how this is kind of where the magic happens, this is where things start, or in other words, where you can access a lot of what needs to be accessed in your computers. It's pretty much right here in your start menu. Okay, the first thing about the start menu I want to show you is a few different things about customizing it. Now, if you're used to Windows 7 or Windows Vista or XP, this may look a little different for you. If you're used to Windows 8, this definitely looks different for you. Okay, but do not be intimidated by the new Windows 10 start menu. It's actually very easy to use, and when you understand it, it's actually very similar to your Windows 7 and Windows Vista operating systems or Windows XP. Okay, now before I talked about pinning icons, okay, all of these here are icons that I have pinned. They came pinned actually just with my clean install, but on my start menu. And what I mean by that, they're pinned, is they were put here. I can make them go away. For example, okay, you can see all these little boxes I can highlight, I can click on them, and it takes me to whatever it is that I'm wanting to go to. Okay, if I want to remove something, let's say I don't want Candy Crush Soda Saga, I don't want this icon right here. Okay, I can unpin it. To unpin it, I have to use the right click on the mouse. Okay, the right click on the mouse brings up this little menu, and if I left clicked, then it would open that program, right? But if I right click, it brings up the menu, and I can unpin from start. See that here? So right click and then left click, unpin from start, and you can remove icons from your start menu. So if you have icons on your start menu now, go ahead, pause this video, right click on whatever of these you don't want there, and start unpinning them. Okay, feel free to pause the video and do that and come back. Once you have everything unpinned that you don't want to have here, then great, that's fantastic. But some things I want to show you is that if I drag my mouse cursor to the very edge of the start menu, see how it shows a little double-sided arrow there? Go ahead and try to do that. Take your mouse, bring it over to the edge, and it shows the little arrows there. It also does it if I come up to the top. Okay, now if I bring my cursor over here till it makes that double arrow, if I come out here and left click with my mouse and hold down the button, okay, so if I come out here, left click and don't let go of the button, if I left click and hold the button and drag, I can actually resize the start menu. Okay? Kind of cool. I can make it bigger or smaller. Make it wider. Now it's only making mine wide as appropriate to the icons that I have pinned here. Okay? So if I remove, I'm going to go ahead and unpin some things here because I don't want them. I'm going to unpin all of these. Okay, so it's still doing the same thing. Let's unpin some more. Huh, I thought it would let me customize, but it's not really doing it. So anyways, the idea is that you can customize your start menu and you can move things around and manipulate it. Now, that's kind of neat. That's kind of cool. Now, what's really cool about it is if you're like, you know what? I don't like having all these pinned right there. They bug me. It just looks so new and different. I just don't want to bother with that. Okay, you can do that. You can unpin every single icon here, okay? Ta-da! Everything is unpinned. And I can resize this down just like this. So now it looks very similar to Windows 7. Okay? So if you're used to that and this works for you, that's great. And this is very similar because you have all apps, which was just like all programs before. Okay? So you can click on here and see all the different programs or apps that you have installed. Okay? Power, I can shut it down or restart it from here just like you could in Windows 7. File Explorer, that's like the new quote-unquote my computer. Okay? And I can pull that up to get to this information and the things that you use the most, and you can also add things. So but if now that kind of helps you see the concept of what's going on here though. Now let's say you go, well shoot, I want to pin icons back. Okay, well that's fine. You can click on the all apps, okay, and find whatever it is you want to put back, and you can right click again. Now no, not left click, because if you left click it will open the program. Right click to bring up its properties, and you can pin it to start. Ta-da, and there it is. Okay, and now let's say you go, you know what, I want this to be bigger. So I can come to my pinned icon on the start menu, right click again, and I can resize it. I can make it wide, or I can resize it to make it large. Okay, do you see how I did that? I did a right click, I hovered over resize. I don't have to actually click on resize, I just hover over it. And I know that's the case because there's an arrow there. Whenever there's an arrow, you just hover over it and it brings up another list of options. Okay, and then I just left click on what it is I want. Okay, I can make it really small if I want to. Ta-da! Let's say I want to make it just medium. Okay, and you can do that with whatever you want. Okay, let's make this one wide. And you can see the differences there, okay? So I'm going to pin a few of these really quick, just for the sake of having them there. So I'll have a few things pinned back. Now it's nice because if you have them here, it's like on your desktop, but your start menu allows you to access them from right here. So you have all kinds of different places you can have icons. You can put shortcuts on your desktop. You can put them along your taskbar on the bottom. We talked about the taskbar last time. You can put them in your start menu right here. You can also just go to all apps and browse and scroll up and down through here. As you can tell, I'm scrolling. I scroll by left clicking on the scroller here, this little bar. I left click and hold and drag, okay? Similar to what I did over here when I held and dragged. Okay, you hold and drag to come up and down and look through this list of programs that I have installed, or that you may have installed. So once we kind of get our start menu customized to how you want, and feel free to customize it however you want. Pause the DVD, stop it, come back later. Take the time and customize that if you would like to. If you don't like it, if you like it the way it currently is and was, that's fine. It's up to you. It's personal preference. Okay, so that's our start menu. Now we're going to go over just a few other things. As you've noticed, I've talked about left clicking and right clicking. Okay, left clicking, what that does is if you left click on something, it selects it. Okay, now something important to understand. Anywhere time you use a left click, generally you just have to left click once. If I click on calculator from here in the start menu, it brings up calculator, right? If I click on an icon down here, if I left click on it once, it brings it up. Now, anytime that you have an icon on your desktop, you have to double click, okay? A single click simply highlights the icon, okay? If I highlight the icon, I can just see that it's selected, okay? Now, if I select an icon with a single click on my desktop, okay, I hope you're following along. If I left click, I can hold and drag, just like we talked about holding to expand our start menu, okay, and dragging and holding like we did over here, okay? I can click, hold, and drag and move things, okay? I can highlight them, which I may want to highlight them for whatever reasons. You probably don't need to worry about that now. We might get into that later, but just know that a single click does not open it if it's on the desktop. It also does not open it if you're in the File Explorer. If you're in File Explorer and you need to open something, if I single click, it just highlights it. I have to double click to open that folder, okay? That's the way the file and folder structure works in Windows. Anytime something is put as a shortcut in the start menu on your taskbar, it's a single click. Or if it's in my all apps, it's a single click, okay? Anytime I am in my File Explorer or on my desktop, okay, it's a double click. You have to double click to open it. Now, there are ways to take that double click feature away, but like I said, it is a feature, and as you get used to a computer, you're gonna like the double click and the single click features being separate. So I hope that clears that. Now, something else to understand besides the left click is the right click. You've heard me talking about right clicking and it brings up different menus. And that's exactly what happens. Whenever you right click, it gives you the properties of something or a different menu to modify something. Okay, if I right click on my blank space on my desktop, just in the picture, I get different options here that are available. Now, that's important to know because as you customize and do different things with your computer, right click is going to be something that you're going to need to understand, okay? So as you can see, I'm kind of right clicking on different things to get different menus. And remember in the previous chapter of this DVD, we talked about right clicking on the start menu to bring up a different option. We can right click on our pinned icons to get different options. I can right click on my icons on the desktop, my desktop shortcut icons to get different options, okay? I can right click on taskbar, remember we did that to get to task manager. I can right click on icons that are down here and see different options available for them. I can unpin them and whatnot. So right click is the properties or a new different menu to modify something. Left click is to select. Double click in File Explorer or the desktop to open up icons there. Single left click when you're using a shortcut in the start menu or the taskbar. I hope all of this has made sense. Let's go ahead and cover a few other quick things before we end this section of the DVD. We talked about the time and date, okay? You can click on the time and date down here, a left click to select it, not a right click, and we can see an actual calendar, okay? It's kind of nice. And they've really made it a cool format here in Windows 10. Now, if I right click, I can, it just takes me to this same menu, okay? A few other different things, adjust date and time. But we don't want to right click. If you want to adjust the date and time, it's easy to just do the left click to bring this up like we did a minute ago, okay? Come to date and time settings, left click, and that gives us our date and time settings. Time is automatically set, okay? I can change that and modify it. So if I say, oh, well, it's not 4:07 where I'm at, it's actually 5:07, I can go, let's turn that off so I can change it manually, okay? And I can change it. You can modify it to however you want it, whatever the time it says that you're supposed to be at. Now, if it is set to manual, you should be okay as long as your time zone is set properly with daylight saving set properly. Okay, that being said, you can modify your time and date So just to cover that again, left click, date and time settings. I can modify it. I got to check there. Time zone, select your time zone, whatever time zone you're in. I'm mountain time, and so on and so forth. Okay. Programs. Now, this is something to understand, is that before, I covered this a minute ago, programs are now called applications in Windows 10. They're not really calling them programs. So you have all apps instead of all programs. So you have to kind of start turning your mindset and thinking, okay, programs are now called applications. It really is the exact same thing. It means the same thing. It's just a new word they're using. So to be hip, cool, and with the current times, I guess that's what we got to do, okay? So something there just to know. The last thing I want to cover in this section is wow. Okay, yes. The last thing I would like to cover in this section is settings. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you that again. I went pretty fast there. If I come to the Start menu and I left click just like normal, okay, you're probably getting pretty comfortable with this by now. I see Settings. I can left click to select on Settings. Now, soon here in the DVD, I'm going to stop mentioning left and right click because now that I've explained how the left and right click works, right is for the properties of something, left is to select it. So I'm going to start saying select, or I may say right click, but I hope that you're catching on by now. Now we're gonna cover this more detail in another lesson. I just wanted to bring this up to your attention. This is the settings of our computer, okay? You can modify and make all kinds of changes and get to different menus and whatnot from the settings icon under the Start menu, okay? Now, we're going to go over personalization later, accounts. We're going to talk about different accounts, how to log in. There are different ways of logging in with Windows 10, setting passwords so you can keep other people out and whatnot. But that is the entirety of this section of the DVD. I hope this section was helpful. If you have to, please re-watch this section over until you understand the material in it. Like I said, if you're new, this might take a time or two, but it will be very helpful for you. So just to recap, we talked about our Start menu, how to customize it, pinning icons. We talked about settings. We talked about our date and time. We talked about the left click versus the right click. And the programs are now called applications. So thank you for watching this portion of the DVD. I look forward to seeing you here in just a second in the next section. Okay, so here we are in the next section of our training DVD on how to use a computer with Windows 10. This section we're going to cover how to use File Explorer, okay? File Explorer, as you remember from previous chapters and sections of this DVD, is under Start and File Explorer. So go ahead and left click to select File Explorer and follow along. I'm going to cover some material on File Explorer on how to manipulate your files and folders in the computer. So this section is pretty in-depth. You have to pay close attention to what I'm talking about. This is very valuable information to know about a computer, and I actually had quite a few customers in the past when I worked as help desk or in a computer environment where people needed help. This was something that was taught a lot by us. How to use File Explorer, how to copy, how to paste, how to move things, how to create new folders and files. So we're going to talk a little bit about the File Explorer and what it does and its purpose. So the purpose of File Explorer is to first understand that on your computer, as we talked about before, you have a hard drive, okay? If I double click and select my hard drive, there are different folders inside of this hard drive, okay? And let's talk about folders. Think of how I talked about before, the hard drive is like the filing cabinet in the office. That's kind of literal, because in a filing cabinet, you have folders. Inside of a folder in a filing cabinet, you have files. You file away something in a folder in the filing cabinet. That's how it works in an office where you document things on paper and have hard copies. Okay. If you're at home and you have an office at home, you have a filing cabinet with folders. Maybe here's your internet bill folder. Maybe here's your house payments folder. Maybe here's your personal information folder. Okay. Same thing in your hard drive. It's a filing cabinet. And you have different folders. Okay. In the folders, you can have more folders. You can have folders upon folders. Inside the folders, a lot of the times you will find files. Okay. Now, I don't really have any files in this computer because it's brand new, but I'm going to make some here in a few minutes, okay? But just understand that. There's folders and there's files. File Explorer allows you, it's like opening the filing cabinet. You can now see the folders in the computer. You can pull out documents from the folders and view them, or pictures or videos or whatever, okay? So understand that concept. The neat thing is you can move folders around, create new folders, and you don't even have to go to Walmart, buy a new pack of folders to stick it in your filing cabinet. You just make them right here, okay? So the first and most important thing I want you to understand of the way it's organized, though, the way it's organized by default by Windows, is you have something called libraries, okay? So libraries has been known as your documents, your pictures, your videos, your music. Those are libraries, okay? They're calling it folders here in Windows 10. They've called it libraries before. So it looks like they may not call it libraries anymore in Windows 10. Either that or I'm just not seeing it. Regardless, those are your main locations where things are stored, specific to what they are. So you want to store all your pictures in pictures. You want to store all of your videos in videos. And remember, to open these, I have to double click. I'm in File Explorer. Single click just highlights it, okay? I have to double click to open these. Now, downloads, you can see whenever we download things, it goes into downloads. Desktop, this is another way to see what's on the desktop. You see, Recycle Bin doesn't show up, but that's for other reasons. Don't worry about that. But let's learn about how to manipulate and move things around inside of this filing cabinet here. I'm going to go ahead. Now, you don't have to do what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to go ahead and make a file. So don't mind me. Okay. So I just created a file. And don't pay attention to how I made the file. Just know that I have a file. Its size is 1 kilobyte. It's small. We can see it's a text document. Okay. And remember, I'm in File Explorer, so I can double click to pull this open and see what this file is. Oh, hey, this is a file. So that's all it is. It's just a file that I made. Now the concept is here that you can have pictures uploaded as well. I don't have any pictures. Okay, but we can get pictures. Now, what I want to do is, it's the same with files, pictures, and videos. Whatever kind of file you have is the options of a file. A couple of things. I can right-click on this file, and it gives me a whole slew of different things I can do with this file. Now, it may take time to get used to some of this, but I want to show you how we can manipulate and move a file around. Let's say this file, I want to make a copy of it, or let's say I want to move it. Let's say I want to move it to my desktop. Okay, I can do that. Now remember how before in the start menu I talked about holding and dragging? I can hold and drag, hold, drag. We talked about in apps I can click here and hold and drag to come up and down. Okay, if I click on this once and let it just be highlighted, okay, I can just left click, hold it and drag. Whoop. Left click. Why isn't it moving this? There we go. I can left click on the file, hold it and drag it, and see how I've got it. It's in front of my mouse cursor. It's like, hey, where am I putting this? It's like it's in my hand. I can move it to the desktop. Ta-da! Now it's on my desktop. It's no longer in documents. Okay? It's in my desktop. I can move it back with the same method. Click and drag. Okay. So we can see here on the left, I have different folders over here, my libraries, my videos, pictures, music, downloads. Let's say for some reason a picture got stored in documents. So let's say this file is a picture. I can click and drag. I don't know why it's so picky there. Click and drag, and I can move this to a different folder. And see how it highlights? Don't let go yet. But if I want to move it to another location, I can click and drag and then let go, and it moves it to that folder. Ta-da! There's my file. I hope you followed along with that. Click and drag, move it to where you want to put it. I want to put it back to documents, so I'm going to highlight over documents. Now it disappeared from pictures. Now it's back in documents. Okay, I'm moving it. Now that is essentially the same thing as something called cut and paste. Okay, I'm cutting it out and I'm pasting it somewhere else. There's also a copy and paste, and let's go over that. So if I right click on my file, I can come down, I see cut and copy. Okay, let's say I want to back this file up, or I want to move it somewhere else, but I want to leave it here as well. I want it in two places. Okay, I can copy, left click on copy, and now it's in an invisible, what they call clipboard. Okay, so I clicked copy, and now I can paste it somewhere else. I can come to pictures. I can select pictures, so I'm to the menu, the folder for pictures. I can right click, and now notice it gives me a new option, paste. Okay, if I right click this in the blank area, do note that. If I right click in the blank area, I can paste. And look at that. It put it right here. I can come back to documents and go, oh, but it's also right there. Okay, so I have my file here, and I just copied it and pasted it to here. I hope that made sense. Let's say I did that on accident, okay, and I don't want this file. I don't want this file for some reason. I just don't want it in my computer. I can delete it. I can come to the file, right click again to see the options of it, and I can delete the file. Feel free to look through all these different options and look at them and peruse and see what they all do, okay? So don't mess with sharing yet. I can delete it. Are you sure you want to move this file to the recycle bin? Yes, I would. On that note, it deletes it, but it stores it in a recycle bin that can be restored later. So you can see now it looks like I have garbage in that recycle bin. So we delete that file. Documents, here's my file still. Okay, now let's say I want to move multiple files at once. I don't want to move just one file, I want to move a lot of files. So give me a moment, let's make some more files. Okay, there's another one. Let's do one more. You don't have to do this. Just something I'm doing here to show you guys how to manipulate these. Now I got a couple of files here. Okay. Now you may have files that you've created with Microsoft Word or Excel spreadsheets and whatnot, or even your pictures like I mentioned before. And let's say I want to select all of these. There's multiple ways of selecting multiple icons, or I'm sorry, multiple files inside of a folder. I can either click and hold down the mouse and drag, like we've talked about a while, hold and drag, and you can see it makes this box, and it highlights things that are within that box. And if I let go, hey look, I have all of those highlighted. Okay, so I have all of them selected. So now if I left click on any one of these, it's treating them as one unit. So I can left click on hold on any one of these, and I can click and drag it to somewhere else. See how I just moved all three of them? They're still highlighted. So let's say I don't have them highlighted. I can click and drag them into my box, highlight them, click and drag, and bring them back over here. Okay, I can do the same thing with copy, okay, and paste. There, I just made a copy of them and I paste them over here. So I have these in two different locations. I don't want these here, so I'm going to select them all, right click, and delete them all. Yes. Okay, so that's really good to know. Now, let's say I don't want file 3. I just want to move file 2 and file. Well, how the heck do I do that? right? I can't just jump over 3. Now, do note, this is a cool trick. If I click on File 2 and I hit and hold down the Control button on your keyboard, on the very bottom left of your keyboard, you have your Control button. Put your finger on Control and hold it down. While holding it down, click on the other file that you want. Just select it. Look at that. Now I can let go of Control, and now I have just those 2 selected. Okay? Really cool, good thing to know. So I can select whatever I want. I can hold down Control and also select File 3. I can hold down Control and deselect File 3. So holding down Control allows me to customize which ones I want to have selected. And just like before, it treats them as one unit. So if I click and drag, it's going to bring those 2 files over here. Okay, Control, hold it down while I click these, click and drag and move them back. I hope that made sense. You might have to play with this a little bit, okay, but just know that concept. And you can also, like I said before, move these to different folders that you can see over here by dragging it over it and highlighting it to it. Now there's different reasons why you want to move files and folders, but I really do hope that this makes sense. For some people it can be kind of complicated, especially if you're new to computers, but just try to understand these concepts of moving files. That you can right click on a file and manipulate it and move it. You can copy it, you can cut it. Cutting is the same thing as clicking and dragging and moving it this way. So for example, right click, let's say I cut this, and notice how it got a little dimmer. I can paste this somewhere else. Okay, I can go to that file, right click in the blank space and paste it. Okay, and there it is. It's in downloads now. As you saw, I highlighted downloads. I can go back to documents. It's no longer there, so it's like I dragged it as well. I can click and drag also back to documents. Okay, I'm hoping this works in your brain. If it doesn't, watch this a few times and get used to it. Okay, I hope I covered this well and thoroughly for you. This is pretty important to know how to do these types of things, to understand your different libraries, documents, downloads, music, pictures. Try to keep things organized in your computer like you would in a filing cabinet. Do you know that you have folders? I can come to this PC and see the different folders that I have here from this view. So you can see I have the 2 different options here. One on the right Windows, one on the left. If I select something on the left, it displays what's inside of that on the right. Play with the File Explorer a little bit. Don't be intimidated about it. Be careful moving things around. If you get into the local disk C, okay, be careful not to mess with much in here. Okay, things are stored in here in an orderly fashion for reasons, especially in your Windows folder. Stay out of here. Users is basically like what you see over here, but it can all be controlled from the left side. Okay, so just bear that in mind. I can click and drag if I see that double arrow and resize this if I want. But kind of play with it, get used to it. And the one last thing I want to tell you is if I am in Documents or Downloads or Desktop, you can see up here at the top, it tells me where I'm at. It says, oh, you're at the desktop. If I click on Pictures, oh, you're at Music. So you can tell where you are, not just by what's highlighted over here, but it also tells you up top. Okay, so you always know where you're at. Oh, I'm in my computer and under Music. Okay. I think that covers this section. Once again, if you have an unclarity of some things, please just watch the video over and over, play with this, and practice this, moving things around, copy and paste. And we'll go over copy and paste a little more in a later section about backing up. But for now, just understand these concepts and practice them, and get to understand them, and this is going to help you a lot. And I'll see you in the next section of this DVD. All right, welcome to this next section of the DVD where we're going to talk about personalizing your computer on a deeper level. Okay, now personalizing can be fun. Everybody likes things to be personalized to how they like it, okay? So that's kind of a given. People like to put bumper stickers on cars, and you got to make the seat comfortable where you want it. You like to buy something that's your color and whatnot, and personalize it. We're going to talk about how to do some of this, and also just some different features and functions that are built into Windows 10. So last section, just to recap, we talked about File Explorer, how to copy, paste, move folders around, delete them. So some good things there. So let's close anything down that you might have on your computer. So we're at just your start screen, okay? And the first thing we're going to talk about is your desktop background. This picture in the background that we can see is the default Windows 10 background image, okay? Now we can change that. So remember right click, how that brings up options of items? If I right click anywhere in the blank area on desktop, I can see some new options. It brings up a window. I can see personalize. There we are. Left click on personalize. We can see our background. Okay. We can come over to the left, or we can preview our background. We can change the picture. Let's say I like this picture down here. So once again, I brought in my personalization. I can preview what I have. I can choose a different picture down here that I want for my background, and you can see here's what a sample looks like up there, what it's going to look like. Okay, I can choose anything I want to. I can choose this picture background and whatnot, and it changes it. Okay, you can just do a solid color if you don't want anything in particular. You just want to have a cool color in the background that you like, something soft or vibrant, you know, whatever you want. You can do slideshows of pictures. We won't get into that too much for now. Just know that you can change it to a picture. I'm going to change mine to this cool water picture because it looks like fun. We can change our colors. Let's take a look, and we can preview them up here. See how it's changing, and that's our backgrounds. You can see how it's changing it there. So let's say I want this blue with a green. Let's say I want to have that. So now you can see over here the colors is highlighted green, and in here things are going to be green in the background and whatnot. So you can kind of personalize it to your liking and whatever you like. Lock screen we won't get into right now. We're going to get into user accounts and how lock screen works a little bit later, but do know you can change your lock screen picture and whatnot here. Select picture and you can change it just like we did earlier. But for now, let's not get too into detail there. You can change an entire theme. We can change theme settings, okay? And what I mean by that is, if you followed me there, so let's backtrack a little bit. I'm coming along the left here. I'm selecting different things. I'm hoping that by now you're understanding when I'm clicking on the things, I'm left clicking and kind of able to follow along with me better. But we talked about our background, the different colors we can select. We're not going to go over lock screen much now. Just know that it can be customized. And then themes, okay? So if I come down and I click on themes, I can click on theme settings, and I can change the entire theme of what I have. And there's custom themes that we can find and download online and whatnot. Let's say I just want to have the default Windows 10 theme. I can select that, and it's going to automatically adjust everything. Okay. Now, just depends on what you want to do. Now, this is the one I just customized. I just made this by changing to that picture. So you can change your themes here, okay? And this is under the control panel, which we're not going to go into in this video either, but just know that it can be customized. We can also customize our start menu. And something really interesting here, if you ever have used Windows 8, this is a cool feature that they put into Windows 10. You can make Windows 10 look very similar to Windows 8. It's called Use Start Full Screen. Now, if you don't like Windows 8, stay away from this. You're not going to like this. But if you did, and you say you started learning computers on Windows 8 and you like the way it looked, I can use Start Full Screen. Now, what this does is it makes it so my start menu, supposed to work, there it goes, takes up the entire screen, just kind of like Windows 8 did. And as you get icons, you can add them here and whatnot. But if you don't want that, that's fine. But here we can customize our start menu a little bit as well. But this is probably something you're not going to get into too much, but it's something that you can play with if you would like to. And I don't want to go into too many details. This is just a basic course. So let's go over this. We can change our background picture. Okay. We can change our colors. Okay. The colors that we're using in the background. Let's say I change it so I want to use blue now with that. We can turn things on and off. We can change the lock screen picture. We can change the entire theme, okay, and whatnot. So just know that those changes can be made. Now, that's just kind of the visual aspects of personalization, right? So you guys are probably familiar with screensavers. If you're not, then I'm going to get you familiar with them here. If you have liked using screensavers in the past, we can adjust screensavers again. So under the same area, under Personalize, okay, under Themes, Theme Settings, when you get back to Themes, okay, you can click on Screensaver, and right now I don't have any screensaver. Okay, see how it says None? Screensaver. Now, if you don't know what a screensaver is, just keep paying attention and you'll soon know. We can select different screensavers here. Sorry for the pause there. This one called Bubbles. I go, oh cool, I like the way that looks right there, but let's preview what this would look like. So you can click on Preview. But the minute you move your mouse around, that preview is going to go away. Because screensaver, the idea is it's just a picture that happens that comes on after a certain amount of time. Or a program. So I have it set to wait 1 minute. So after I walk away from the computer for 1 minute, then this screensaver is going to turn on after being left alone for 1 minute. Okay? Now, the reason we have screensavers is because in the past, before we had flat screen monitors and whatnot, we had CRT monitors. And if you left a screen sitting for too long on one thing, it could burn images into the CRT. Okay? So screensavers really aren't screensavers anymore because we don't have problems with that, but they're still kind of cool and fun to have. So you can have a screensaver if you'd like. And you can tell how long to wait before it comes on, how long of inactivity you have before the screensaver comes on. Or if you don't want a screensaver, you can just do none. So you can create or set up a screensaver here. Okay? I hope that kind of helps understanding what the screensaver is and what it was originally used for. And we don't really need them nowadays, but they can be kind of just a fun thing to have if you would like to do it. Now do notice when I'm here under screensaver settings, I have another option called Change Power Settings. Okay, let's go into here. Go ahead and left click on Change Power Settings. This is important to know. The power settings of a computer for some people can be confusing because the power settings, we have things like hibernation, computer's sleep mode, or the computer turns the display off after being inactive for so much time, just like a screensaver comes on after being inactive for so much time. Okay, we can change these plan settings. Okay, I have a very basic system and I don't want to go over this much now, but you can see I have it set to turn off the display to never. I can tell that, oh, after 10 minutes of me being away from this, let's have that turn off my display so that it isn't running all the time with a picture on it. Okay, now you're gonna notice that don't get involved in here, but on your computer you're going to have some more options here about hibernation and sleep mode. You can modify those to whenever you want. And to know, hibernation and sleep mode are basically the computer kind of shutting itself off, but not all the way. It's going to sleep, it's hibernating, which can be good for some reasons. Some people argue it's better to turn the computer off. Some people say it's bad to turn it off when you turn it back on. I've heard the argument from both standpoints. You put a bunch of IT guys in a room together and they're going to fight with each other over what is better. So you can decide on your own. My personal opinion is, if it's a home computer, I've always turned mine off. If it's an office computer, I tell them just to let it run all the time because I help monitor their computers. So It just depends on the situation. But you can modify your sleep time and everything else here. So, power settings, power options, okay? Now, that was kind of a weird way that we got to power options, right? Because I had to go to this whole rigmarole to get there. I had to go to, from my desktop, I had to go to personalize, I had to go to themes, themes settings, screensaver. This is how I got there, right? It's just like, wow, it's a wild goose chase. Okay, something cool to understand in your computer is there's other ways to get to that, but the fastest way is if you know, oh, I want to change my power options. I can come search. I can come down here and type power options. And look at that. It shows up here. Power options, control panel, sweet. I can click on that and bam, here I am. I'm right where I want it to be because I know it's called power options. Let's say you don't know it's power. It's power something, but I don't remember. I can just type power. It goes, all right, well, let's see what we got here. Everything with the word power is going to show up. So I got power options down here. There we are. Oh yeah, it's power options, not power settings. And I can click on that. Okay, so you can search for things instead of having to go through all the different menus to get to them. So we talked about how to change your background. We talked about how to change the colors. We talked about how to set a screensaver and whatnot, kind of personalizing the computer a little bit, sleep mode, and when to turn the computer off. And that should cover it for this section. I hope that this all made sense for you. Just please, like I said, watch these sections over and over again if you need to. And feel free to play around a little bit. Don't be too intimidated. It's pretty hard to break something. But yeah, that should cover this section. Thanks, guys. See you in just a moment. All right. So this section of the DVD, we are going to be talking about how to use the internet using the Edge browser that comes built in with Windows 10. Okay, so there are many reasons that a person may want to use a computer. Browsing the internet like we're talking about. Browsing the web for social media. You've probably heard of Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. People use the internet for listening to music. They use computers for storing the information, for downloading and storing music, documents, doing office work, using Microsoft Word or Excel or Access or whatever Microsoft products, doing email. So there are different things a person can use a computer for. Now, if you're wanting to browse the web or use the internet, it's a gateway to a lot of these resources, okay? The nice thing is that Windows 10 does come with a new browser built in called Internet Explorer. Now what that means, okay, a web browser. So you have your computer and I've showed you how to use File Explorer. This is browsing around in your computer, okay? You can customize your computer. But there is an outside world called the internet. I'm sure you're familiar with what the internet is. Regardless if you are or not, the internet is a giant network of all the computers basically in the world and that are connected to the internet. So to be connected to the internet, you have to have an internet service provider. They come to your house, they hook up the internet, give you some hardware, you plug that hardware into your computer, which gets you on the World Wide Web, the internet. It gets you on that network, okay? Once you're on that network, you can browse that network, which is the world's network, okay? We share this network. I'm not going to go into how that works exactly, but just know that there is an internet. Now, the web browser is the program that you access on your computer to search for things outside of your computer. So instead of going internally to look at things in your computer through File Explorer, you use the Edge browser to view things outside of your computer, on other people's computers, on other servers that are out there on the internet being stored somewhere else, okay? So as you can see, don't mind anything that pops up on my feed. This is the news, okay? It's nothing that I've put up here. But as you can see, there's this blue E down here. Okay, it's pinned to the taskbar. I can left click on the blue E. You should have this here. If you for some reason don't, you can also access it through your all apps. Okay, you can dig through here and find it. Microsoft Edge, there it is. And you can get to it through there. Now that you know what the Edge browser is, it's allowing you to access things outside of your computer, different websites and whatnot. Let's learn how to use this web browser. Okay, so now something that I haven't covered before is how to move windows around and close them, or we've talked about closing them, but how to move them around and resize them. Okay, so we have a window pulled open, and I haven't really brought this up before because it hasn't really had to apply until now. But let's say you have your web browser open, and you're like, well, I want this to take up the whole screen. Well, I have these three options up here. I can either close this program down, this window. I can click on this one, which will allow me to maximize it. Okay, it brings it up and covers the entire monitor surface, your entire surface screen area, your entire desktop. I can click on it again to minimize it back down, or I can click on this line and it actually completely minimizes it and drops it down into here. So if I click away, you can still see there's a blue line under it, which means it's still open, it's still in the background, it's just hiding down here in the taskbar. And if I hover over it, it goes, well, here's what's hiding down here. Do you want to bring it up? I can either click on the E or come up here and click and bring it back up. And then I can maximize it. Okay? So some good things to know there about what you can do with the window. Let's say I have it like this in a window form where it's not maximized, and there's the dark gray blank area. If I click and hold and drag, I can move this window around. Okay? So if I just want to move it somewhere for some reason. Okay? And now another little cool trick there, as you saw, it did a little weird thing there. If I click and bring my cursor all the way to an edge on the left, it will take up exactly half of my viewing space. If I click and drag and bring that to the other edge, it'll take up the other half. I can do that for any side there like that. See that? Except for if I bring it to the top, it maximizes it. So just, you can move windows around, okay? Let's go ahead and one other thing, if you double click here, you can also maximize it. So it's the same thing as over there, or pulling up and dragging it. So practice that a little bit, get used to that. But let's learn how to use this Edge browser. This is what I really wanted to talk about. Like I said, concept is you're browsing the world's network, the web, the World Wide Web, and this teaches us how to do it. I'm on a website right now. This is MSN's website about news, okay? And you can see over here I have my scroller, just like we were talking about when we were over in the start menu. You remember, all apps, I can scroll up and down by holding and dragging. Same thing. Click and drag. Now, if you have one of those mice, if you have a mouse, well, almost all mice have them nowadays, they have that rolly button in the middle between the left and right buttons. You can roll that up and down and it will scroll you through the window as well. The window has to be selected or it doesn't work. So for example, if I have two windows open and I have this window selected, it's not going to roll back. Oh, look at that, it does. Windows 10 is something else because I have my cursor over it. It's actually probably something I should know, and you guys are probably making fun of me on it, but that's okay. So I can scroll back and forth. Look at that. This one doesn't even have a scroller. I'm just going to close this down. Anyways, you can use that button in the middle to scroll up and down and browse through your different things on the web page. So there you have it. Now let's learn how to jump around. Now, like I said, I apologize for any pauses or mistakes I make along the way. I'm recording these live, but it's just a lot easier this way, and I feel a lot more personable as well. So let's say you want to go to Facebook. Okay, that's when knowing how to use this bar up here is important. Okay, and the thing is with the Edge browser is it can be kind of confusing at times. As you see here, I don't even see that bar, but it is magically hiding there. If I come up here and click, it shows up. Okay, and I have to click again to be able to type into it. They kind of hide it. It's kind of frustrating. It wasn't like that in the past with Internet Explorer, previous versions of the browsers that Microsoft has used in the past. But you click up in there and you can search or enter a web address. So let's say I want to go to Facebook. Okay, if you heard of Facebook, well, I want a Facebook page. Facebook. Now, if I just start searching it, there it is. It's using Bing to search for it. Facebook.com. Okay, if you know the actual web address, you punch it in there. Let's talk about that for a minute. A web address is kind of like a physical address on a house. If you're trying to get somewhere, you have to know the address of the location. If I'm trying to get to a specific website, I have to know the web address of that website. I need to know the location of that website. And they usually end in a .com or a .net or a .us, .uk and whatever. So if you know a web address, you can just type in facebook.com or the .net or whatever you're looking for, okay, and you can pull it up. And that takes you to that website, okay? So you can go through the process and do whatever you want on Facebook. Or you can go www. To whatever website it is you know that you want to use, okay? I can go www. Or you don't even have to do www. That's kind of an old school thing. Nowadays, you don't even have to do that, okay? I can just go to whatever website it is. This is just a blog of mine, but it's an easy one to jump to, okay? Now notice this one is a .net, okay? Not a .com. So that can happen. So that being said, you can see how we can bounce around to different websites if you know the web address. Okay? But remember, you have to actually, if it doesn't show up, you have to actually click up in there to get it to show up. So kind of tricky, kind of get used to that, get the feel for that. It's a little weird. They're trying to get you to use the Bing web search is what it looks like they're trying to do, and you don't really want to do that right now. If you know a web address, it's best to do that. You can search for things though. Let's say I don't know, I just want to research potatoes, okay? I just type potatoes. I didn't type a .com, a .net, I just searched potatoes. Well, that's not a web address, that's just something. So it doesn't take you to a website. There is no website called potatoes. And so it just does a search for you. It's like, oh, were you looking for maybe the Idaho Potato Commission? Maybe the potato recipes from allrecipes.com. So it's kind of like a phone book. You're looking through the yellow pages. Oh, I know I want to look at potatoes or computer repair or whatever the case may be. Okay, look at computer repair. And here we are. Let's say you're a computer repair in Idaho. I'm just going to bring up different places for computer repair. So you can see how that works. Now, let's say you didn't know it's facebook.com or facebook.net. You can just type Facebook. You can go, oh, let's look here. Oh, facebook.com. Okay, you can see the web address. Now, do note the web address is also called a URL. Okay, the URL is the same thing as the web address. So if someone says the web, here's the URL to that website. That's the web address of the website. Okay, so just know that. And you can see here I've got Bing. I'm searching with this down here. And I've got my web address bar up here, and I go google.com. It's going to take me right to Google. Okay, and I can search with Google instead if I want to. I hope this is making sense. I hope this isn't going over your head, and I hope I'm taking this slow and basic enough for you. This takes practice and getting used to, okay, how to use it and how it works. I'm kind of just browsing around. If you know some different websites, feel free. Go to those websites. But you have to be very careful, okay? This is very important. You can end up in places you don't want to be on the internet. The internet can be a very dangerous place for your computer and yourself. Sometimes inappropriate things can pop up if you get in bad places you didn't mean to get to. Do remember, you're out in the public when you're looking around things. You're perusing the public servers and computers and domains and whatnot. And you might end up being somewhere you don't really want to be. So you have to be careful what you search for. For example, let's say there's a program I wanted to download. Now let's say you may not have heard of these programs, but just for the sake of argument, let's say I want to say Adobe Reader download, and I want the free one that they have available. Okay, Now it's nice because Google is awesome and works with them, and it shows up like this. But let's say I'm using Bing. Let's go back to msn.com because that uses Bing, and this is using Bing by default. I just want you to see it this way. And let's say I search for Adobe Reader, because you'll probably end up using Bing if you're using Edge. Okay, it's nice. Okay, Bing is getting nicer. So you can see, okay, the first thing that shows up in my search results: Adobe Acrobat Reader DC install for all versions. Okay, cool. So that looks like what I'm looking for. I need that Adobe Reader free, and this takes me to Adobe's website. And you know I'm there because it's adobe.com. You see that adobe.com in there, so we know it's a legitimate website. But let's say I went to one of these other ones. Here's one. It says filehippo.com/download Adobe Reader. Well, it says download Adobe Reader, so let's click on that, and I want to download it, right? Well, you got to be careful, because if you might get into a website where you're getting extra stuff you don't want, and there's pop-ups, and there's things going to harass you, and you can get malware and whatnot. So it's best to know you're going to a legitimate website. How do you know you're on a legitimate website? It just takes time and practice, and be careful. If something looks weird and not right, just don't do it. It's kind of the best guide. So that's kind of how that works. Like I said before, you don't have to type a .com. You can just type something in up here and it will take you to it. As we said, potatoes. You can type potatoes and it will Bing it. And like I said, it's like the phone book. I'm pulling up the phone book so I can find out who to call or what website I'm looking for. I'm trying to gain information. Okay, so that's how this kind of works. Like I said, I hope that this is making sense to you. I hope that you understand the concept that I'm throwing out at you. If you're really new to computers, this can be kind of daunting, but it just takes time and it just takes practice, and it probably wouldn't hurt to find a relative or somebody in your family who can sit down and help you walk through this. But do watch these videos over and over and try to let these ideas sink into your head, because really you are your own best teacher. So this is the Edge browser. We have our web address bar up top. Generally, you'll have your Bing bar down below, especially if you're using the home page that they give you. Once you get used to how things work with the Edge browser and you're getting comfortable, you can start doing more advanced things. Let's say there's a website that you know you like, but you want to be able to remember it easily, not always have to type it in. There's a star over here to the right of the URL web address bar. If I click on this star, that is saving it as a favorite website. Oh, I love this website. I want to store this so I can access it easy later. Or let's say you found a website browsing, but you don't want to write it down on a piece of paper or remember it in your head, so you can click on the star and save it. Okay, name, Alexander's blog, save in favorites. Add, and there we go. We saved that to our favorites. Now to access our favorites, it's right here, these three little lines. Okay, I can click on that, and that shows what I've saved. So let's do a couple of them so you can see that in action. Say I love Facebook.com. I want to click on the star, and that looks great. Let's add that. Let's say I like Google.com. Save that. We can add that. Okay, follow along with me if you would like, or just watch and get the concept. Say I like YouTube.com. I'm going to star this, the favorite, and we're going to add that. And now we can see when I click on the favorites over here, like I just mentioned, we can see these now. And now that I can see these, I can just click on it and get straight to that website. So I'm at alexanderhealth.net. Let's say I want to go back to Facebook. I can pop over here to my favorites and click on Facebook, and it takes me directly to Facebook. So that's how your favorites works on the Edge browser. Okay, so some really cool, good, important things to know. Now there are some more advanced things a person can do over here. We're going to skip these two. Don't worry about these for now. They're not something that you should really be worried about as a basic user. We can click on more on the three dots, and we can do more with what is on the page. We can print what's on the page. Okay, if you have an email you want to print or whatever, you can print things. You can pin this page to start. Now that's kind of cool, right? Remember we talked about pinning things to the start menu? Let's go ahead and click on that. do you want to pin this tile to start? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We'll look at that in just a minute. And now, also finally we have settings on the bottom. Okay, we can do quite a bit in settings. It's best to not really jump into settings much as a new user, but do know that there are advanced settings here that you can manipulate and mess with and what not. So just some things to understand there. But I hope this makes sense on how to use the URL bar, how to browse the web, and whatnot. I hope this all makes sense to you, how to add favorites. Now that we pinned that Facebook, we can also click on here on our start menu and see Facebook. So I can get to Facebook just by clicking on there. Now notice it pulled it up as a new tab. Let's talk about tabs. So we have multiple tabs. Let's say I want to have Facebook open, but I also want to have another website open. Let's say I want to have YouTube open as well. I can click that plus symbol to open a new tab, and I can come to my favorites and I can select the website I want to go to. Okay, or let's say I want these open and I want to browse the web some more. I can just browse. I can type in cornbread recipes. Okay, I can browse and I still have these open, and I can select them and click on them to get to them. A lot of times you can get a lot of tabs opened up. Okay, so, and something else to go along with that, let's say I am browsing these cornbread recipes, and let's say I found something cool I want to look at. Ooh, here we go, foodnetwork.com, moist and easy cornbread recipe. Let's say I want to pull that up, but I don't want to lose the current page that I'm on. It's like, man, I want to look at this, but I don't want to go away from the page I'm on at the same time. I can use the right mouse button. Remember we talked about right click, left click? Right click on the link that you want to click on to open, and then you can left click on open in a new tab. And that keeps this page still here, but opens that one we wanted to look at in a new tab. This web page is loading slowly for some reason, but we can do that with as many things as we want to. Right click, open in a new tab. Okay, see how that works? Food Network looks like it's having some problems. It's pulling it up really slow and it's not working. It's kind of crashing here. But I hope that concept makes sense. Food Network is not responding. Look at that. See, we even have problems here. Here's Betty Crocker. Let's try that one. Open link in new tab. Well, maybe it's my computer. Nope, there it goes. Okay, so now I can always go back to cornbread recipes and keep pulling up different things. So we have our tabs up here we can play with. And we can jump between tabs. We can close our tabs with the X right there. The X, and bring them down, open up new things. If I want to do any link, I can right click. If I don't want to, if I don't care about losing the page, just left click on it and it'll bring that up. If I bring it up and I want to go back, always remember we can use this arrow up here to the top left. This arrow up here on the top left will allow us to jump backwards to the page we were at before. So we can go back and forth between where we have been as well. You can navigate around pretty well. So you've got your web address bar, you've got tabs up here on the top that you can create new ones and browse the web and do different things. As you're browsing around, you can go back and forth between the websites you've been at. Sometimes a page can get goofed up or it's been sitting there for a long time. You have to refresh it. You can refresh or reload the page. Okay, so that's something to know as well. So we talked about favorites and how to find our favorites and whatnot. I hope this all made sense to you. This is how we use the Microsoft Edge browser. Okay, notice this. When I X this out, do you want to close all these tabs? Sure, let's close them all. Now I'm back to my computer. There's my Edge browser. So that's how I hop on the internet. That's how I browse around. Be careful where you're going on the internet. Get familiar with it. Just be very cautious. If you have family members that can sit down and help you once in a while and answer a few questions. At the end of this DVD, I'm going to give you my YouTube channel where you can also shoot questions to me there and do the best I can to help you. There's also more advanced videos you can find there for different things and applications. But like I said, I hope this made sense. I hope you enjoyed this section of the DVD and look forward to seeing you in just a few minutes in the next section. Thank you. Okay, welcome to this section of the DVD. In this section we're going to be talking about email. Okay, and this is kind of complicated for multiple reasons. Understanding what email is, how it works, how you can use email yourself, the different methods of using email, and whatnot. And I'm going to try my best to simplify this as best as I can for you to understand what's really going on and how to use email. Now, I can't go into great detail, so you have to pay close attention and really try to think about what the points I'm trying to get across, because if I show you how to do email one way with one email provider, it may not be the same for another. So I'm going to give you a broad idea of how to use email here, okay? Now, for starters, email, as you probably know, is a way of sending messages or mail to another person electronically, okay? Which is funny because we have all kinds of different ways of sending messages nowadays. We have instant messaging on phones, text messaging. We have instant messaging with social media like Twitter or Facebook, MySpace, all kinds of different ways of using it. So email really is kind of archaic when it comes to the technology world. Email has been around for a very long time. But it's still widely used and it works great. I even use it myself a lot. So that being said, to use the email, you have to access the internet. Well, if you recall from our last section, we have to go to the Edge browser to access the internet. Remember that? And there are all kinds of different providers that offer a free email service. Now let's list some of those out, okay? We have pull up Notepad here. We have Outlook.com, you have Gmail.com, you have Yahoo.com. Feel free to list these out if you want to, or whatever. Chances are you probably already have an email address, especially if you have a smartphone. You're going to have a Gmail account. You have AOL.com, and the list goes on and on and on and on. These three are the most common ones that we tend to see. If you're in a business environment, you'll have your own .com, your own domain name. These are domain names, okay? So I have all of these except for AOL. But let's say you don't have an email address and you want one, okay? Very common is to use Gmail, okay? Gmail.com will bring you to Gmail. So when you get to your web address bar, as we talked about in the last video, you type in the web address, gmail.com. Here's where it brought me, okay? And I can sign in or create an account, okay? If you don't have an account, you can create an account here and just walk through the information and fill it out, okay? First name, last name, choose your username for whatever at gmail.com. You have to make a password. They want your phone number. It's good to do that so they can send you a text if your email gets hacked. They want you to put another email address because everybody nowadays has more than one email address. So you can put another email address in here and whatnot. Okay, so this is Gmail. Okay. Now I'm not going to type in my email address because I don't want everybody seeing my email address. But this is how it works. Now you've also got Microsoft's version, which is called Outlook.com. Okay, so that's Google's. This is Microsoft's. Now you can see here, sign in. Okay, you can fill out the information and sign in. If you don't have an account, you can create one. Okay, that's fantastic. Well, I have an account here I have created for this video. So I'm going to sign in because I already created one. If you need an email account, create it, follow through like I showed you on Gmail's, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and log in here. I just made this one with some spastic bizarre name. So you can see here, we have my email, my inbox, and what it looks like. Okay, now it's going to look different for whatever provider you're using, but the concept is going to be similar. Okay, you're going to have your folders on the left, generally, inbox, junk mail that has come in, it's filtered through, items, things that you have sent, emails that you have sent away, and whatnot. So it's important to just understand these main concepts. You can do new email messages. Sometimes they'll call it a compose message. Here on Outlook.com, it's saying new. Type who you want to send it to, and add a subject line, add a message, and send the email. Now, like I said, I'm just kind of going over things here. You might want to get help from a family member on this as well if you have anybody that knows how to do some of this. But at least watch this and understand the concepts. So the email address is important to know, okay? So when you make your user account or email address name, like mine here, zhooter@outlook.com. Let's say I want to send a message to somebody else. I just punch it in there, whoever I want to send it to. I can type it in, zhooter@outlook.com. Okay, add a subject of the message. Let's say it's testing, add message test. I don't know if it will actually let me send it to myself. It might just loop. But the concept and idea is that that's how you send a new email. But it's going to be different depending on your email provider. So just bear that in mind. And I'm logged into my account, so I can always log back out. Okay, so I'm coming up here on Outlook.com and signing out. Now you may want to make an Outlook.com and kind of follow along with what I've done here, but I'm not going to go into it in great detail. I will probably have and be making more in-depth videos on my YouTube channel on how to use specific email domains or email providers. So that's kind of how email works. I know that this is very kind of a rough idea of what's going on, but that's kind of how it has to be, because if I made this video now, 6 months from now, they may change the entire way that their email looks, and what I'm telling you now may not work. So it's the concept you have to understand, understanding what email is. So I hope that this has made some sense to you. I know it's kind of a scratch of the surface, but just know that email is, you have to have an email address. You can create an account. You have to kind of be intuitive with it and follow along. Find a family member or a friend. And a really important thing to do is, if you don't know how to do something, search how to do it. Okay? Go to google.com and search it, or just punch it in here and use Bing. That's built in with the Edge browser, like we talked about. How to use Gmail. And you're going to find things. Look at that, videos, Bing videos, how to use Gmail, keyboard, how to use Gmail, how to use Google Calendar, how to use Gmail, how to use Gmail, how to use Gmail. There's videos all over the internet on how to use things. You can also use YouTube. So youtube.com. You can search YouTube for videos how to do things. How to use, oh, come on. How to use Outlook.com. Okay, and you're going to find videos all over. How to use Outlook.com, email and options. Navigational. Look, this guy's got a 37 video on just using Outlook. See why I'm not doing this? This is a quick walkthrough here, 542, but it can get really in depth. Email is one of those things. But email is nice. You can send email messages to different companies. You can send them to friends, family members, people across the world, or you can just talk to them on Facebook and do it that way. Email is generally used from business to business, or receiving a receipt or something from a bill you paid or whatever. A lot of bill pays are done online nowadays. But that's kind of the concept of email. I hope that this video was helpful. I know that it was very general, but that's kind of how it works. If you need a Gmail account, there's ones that we listed. Follow through, walk through the steps, kind of just look through it, and look at everything that is in there. I like Outlook.com. I don't use my Gmail a whole lot. Gmail is great. I just have had MSN accounts for 18 years, since it was hotmail.com way back in the day, so that's what I'm used to. But just bear all that in mind. I hope this portion of the DVD was useful. Let's go ahead and close this section out, and we'll see you in a moment in the next section. Okay, I hope that by now you're starting to get the hang of how to kind of use your computer. What the start menu is, how to customize and use it, how to look around the different programs you have in the computer. A lot of this is going to be you playing around and kind of experimenting along with what I'm telling you. How to use your file explorer and how to browse around your filing cabinet and to manipulate your files, moving them around and whatnot. How to use the Edge browser for browsing the web. We know a little bit about what email is and how it works. Now, the most important thing you need to know about your computer is how to back up your data. Data is the most important thing in your computer. It holds a value higher than the entire computer itself. You could have pictures in your computer of maybe grandchildren or your own children, and if you don't have a copy of that data on another hard drive or on another computer, and your computer dies, your hard drive dies, it gets broke for some reason, and you can't extract that data, it is gone. Okay? You cannot get it back. Sometimes you can get lucky enough to send it to a data recovery center and get it back, but that's very expensive. So please take great heed to this video. For starters, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my normal Windows 10 theme background. So remember how we do that. I'm going to change this back. And let's talk about backing up. Now, there are multiple ways of backing up. And the first thing to know about backing up is first you have to have something to back up to, somewhere to back up your data to. What a lot of people do, most people that I know, when I worked doing help desk and whatnot, have an external hard drive. So remember we talked about the hard drive in the computer? And for example, in this one I have the 150 gigabyte hard drive right here. Okay. Well, if you buy an external hard drive that plugs into a USB port on the outside of your computer, that is an extra hard drive that you can store data on. Okay, so it's not storing it here, or you are storing it here, but you also want to make a copy of it to the other external hard drive. Now, we can see on mine, I already have a backup volume installed. Okay, now I have two internal hard drives I have plugged into this computer. So I'm not using an external, I'm using another internal. Okay, now you can do this with flash drives, USB flash drives, SD cards. You can use external hard drives. Just depends on how much data you have in your computer and how much you want to back up. If you have a terabyte of data you need to back up, you're going to need a terabyte to 2 terabyte hard drive to back up to. You're going to want to have some space left over for additional backups as time goes on. So be sure you know how much data you have in your computer, and be sure you know what size of a hard drive you're going to need according to that data you have that you need to back up. Okay, you can probably go to your local computer store and help desk and also consult with them, and they can help you understand. Tell them, I need to get a backup. I've looked at my computer. I have this many gigs on my hard drive filled up. So let's figure out what I need. To get some really detailed information on how much data you need to back up or how much hard drive space is taken up, I mean, we can do the math here, but 114 free, but how much we're using up. I can right click on this local disk C, your main hard drive, and left click properties. Okay, and it can tell me, okay, used space 36 gigs, free space 114, capacity, the total capacity is 150, and it gives us another little bar here. It says how much we have used up, right? So we have 36.2 gigs of used space. Now a lot of this is the Windows installation and Windows updates and other things, so that's not going to be all your data. But if you're going to make a complete system image of your computer, then it's going to take up all that space. So you want to make sure you have a bigger hard drive than what you see here, okay? And generally you want to have a bit bigger so you have room left over to play with. So once you see what you need and how much you have, you got to buy an external hard drive. I have just this little tiny volume here for space. But let's go ahead and take a look at how to run a backup, okay? And now there's different ways you can do this. Let's say I just want to back up some files. Remember, I have these files here. I can mess around over here on the left. You can see my arrows pointing down for disk C. I don't want that down. I want to bring that up so I can see what's below. And I've got my backup volume here. I can click on these. And remember, we learned how to copy and paste. I can right click. I can copy. I can go to my backup volume. I can right click and I can paste. Ta-da! I just backed them up. Okay, so they are here and they are here. So they're on my backup volume and they're in documents. Okay, so I can manually back things up a little at a time if I want to. Okay, which can work just fine. So that's one way of backing up. But a really nice feature built into Windows can do automatic backups for you once you have your hard drive plugged in. And to do that, we can come down to our search. Remember, I've showed you a little bit about how to use search, and you can just type backup on your keyboard. And look at this, backup and restore. It says Windows 7 because it's the same program they use in Windows 7 that they're using in 10. Click on that, and now we are in the backup and restore utility, okay? With our backup and restore utility, we can back up our computer. And we can create a schedule. We can do all kinds of things. I've created this backup already, so I can say backup now. Backup or restore files. You can back up. And let's say I want to... Now, I already have a backup created, okay? You may not have one created. If you don't, when you click up here, it's going to give you an option to start a backup up here and to walk through the procedures. And when you do that, it's going to bring you to here, okay? And it's going to tell you to select where you want to save your backup. Well, when you plug in your external hard drive, that's going to show up here, okay? So I have this little external hard drive that I have plugged in, or internal, I'm sorry. It can be external, internal, whatever. You can have more than one hard drive inside of a computer as well. And you can see I've got some free space. It's not very big, okay, so I can't do a full system image of my entire hard drive over there, but I could back up some data to it. So let's walk through this, say, okay, that's fine, it doesn't have enough for a system image. I know this is kind of advanced, but just understand these concepts the best you can, okay? So I'm going to click next, and what would you like to back up? I can let Windows choose, and it basically makes a system image, saves everything in my libraries on the desktop, in the default Windows folders, everything. Or I can just choose. Okay, let's say you want to just choose what you want to back up. Okay, so you click next, and it says, okay, select the checkbox of the items that you want to include in the backup. Okay, so I can select the down arrow over here on libraries, or I can just deselect it altogether. Data files, let's notice that I'm under data files, okay? And I can say, okay, I want to back up my documents library, my camera roll, but I don't want to do additional locations, and I don't have any videos. So let's just do these. And I can go, okay, let's go ahead and do that. Now, if you have system image selected here, you can unselect or deselect that. A system image you probably won't be able to use, but it's good to have one backed up, especially if your computer does crash at some point and you have a system image, and you can take that system image with you to your local computer repair store, and when they add another hard drive or wipe the system, then they can use that system image to get you back up and running where you were before it crashed, okay? So it's good to back up with the system image. But for now, let's say I just want to camera roll all this stuff. I can say, okay, next. That's what I want to back up, okay? And it says, hey, you don't have these things in the backup yet. It's like, yeah, I know. I can save settings and exit, and then I can go ahead and tell it back up now. And it will do a backup. It will back up that data to that other hard drive that you have plugged in, and away you go. Now, once that's done, we can change settings again and redo our backup and change it. Also, we can turn on a schedule. Very important, very cool thing to know. You can turn on a schedule to back up once a week. You can back up whenever you want. I don't know why this just did that, but you can go in and you can modify. Let's turn off schedule. Let's see what I did here that was wrong. Oh, turn on schedule, change settings. Maybe it's under change settings. I probably skipped that page. Let me choose next. Okay, I apologize. I skipped that. So before we ran that on demand change schedule. See that here? Did you see how I got back to here? I just walked up through the backup process of the settings, changing the settings on my backup here. Once you get your backup created, okay? So on demand change schedule. And we can tell run a backup on a schedule. Weekly, Sunday, daily, monthly, you know, whenever you want to do it. Most people probably like to run one weekly, depending on how often you're saving stuff. Maybe monthly if you're not on the computer very often. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you don't store anything in your computer. You just use it to browse the web. Whatever works best for you. That's the important thing. But do note that you can create a backup here. I already had a backup set up. If you didn't have one set up here at all, then you can, it'll tell you up here, generally on the top right, to create a backup. Okay? And you can get to the screen. You can just create a system image by itself or a repair disk. Don't bother with a repair disk, okay? Just run the backup. I hope this all made sense. So remember, we can back up just by copying and pasting things to our volume. Remember that? Or we can create a backup. Here's my backups right here. Okay. Once you create a backup, it's in here. And then you can restore your backup. Just double click on it. Restore my files from this backup. Okay. Also seek help from your local computer store or IT administrator, wherever it is you're at. But that's how you back up your data. So very important to know. And then to restore your data, you just go to your external hard drive, find the little program, and run it, and you can restore all your data from this backup. Okay, that's how that works. But you can copy and paste, or you can run the built-in Windows backup utility by searching for it and creating a backup and manipulating it, kind of play around with here. Just read. If you read everything, it makes sense. A lot of people get intimidated because they just simply don't read everything and look at it. So just look at it, read it, play with it, create a backup or two if you need to, get that external hard drive and start backing up your data so that you don't lose it. I hope that this section of the DVD has been helpful and that you know how to run a backup. Thanks guys, we'll look forward to seeing you in the next section. Alright guys, thank you for watching this DVD. Thank you for your purchase. I hope that this DVD is helpful for you as a basic user or just someone who's just learning how to use a computer. This section here is the wrap up. I'm just going to wrap up, talk about a few things really quick with you. I hope that this DVD has been helpful and that things make more sense to you and that I haven't left out any important details. If you desire to learn more, we're going to be making more DVDs on more intermediate courses. There are also YouTube videos I have available where I talk about doing things as people get more and more familiar with how a computer works. Let me go ahead and show you the YouTube channel. So now that you know how to use your Edge browser, go ahead and go to your browser, hit up youtube.com, and my channel is called Blissful Techno Health. Okay, and hey, look, there it is right there. So I don't have a ton on here now. I just started this channel very recently. I'm not real popular, but I do have videos here that you can look at to help further your knowledge. Some of these are way advanced compared to what we have gone over in this video. And like I said, you can also just type things into YouTube that you don't know how to do, or Google it, Bing it, and read. Don't be afraid to read and watch videos on how to do things. That's where you're going to learn the most. And it ain't all going to come in one day. It's going to take time. It's going to take practice and dedication. There are so many things to know about a computer. It's ridiculous. I've been doing computing for, oh my gosh, I don't know, since I was very, very young, probably about 26 years, and they're coming out with new things all the time. I'm learning new things every day. So don't be intimidated. Even us that have been doing this forever, there's so much to know. It's ridiculous. So be patient with yourself. Don't be intimidated. Just read, watch videos, watch this DVD over and over, and just do the best that you can. But like I said, I hope this DVD has been helpful. Look forward to hearing your comments. Oh yeah, so you can comment on my YouTube channel on any video. If you have questions about specific things. Let's bust back over there. Oh, here we are here. Okay, you can subscribe if you want. I'm constantly putting new videos up. Like I said, I just started this, but you can watch a video and you can, if you have an account, whoop, video started to play. If you have an account, you can shoot me comments. If you have a Gmail account, log in with your Gmail account. You can sign in up here on the top right, okay? So do know that. If you have a Gmail account, you can sign in with your Gmail account up here in the top right, and you can actually comment on the video. And here it's going to walk you through creating an account since we don't have one. And I will get to those questions for you. That's a wrap up. Excuse the music playing in the background there. That's a wrap up. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for watching the DVD. I hope this helps out, and you have a great life.